Let me ask you guys a simple question, and don't be too shy to answer. How many of you have fallen down the idol rabbit hole? And if you're wondering, yeah, I did. Check out this cursed picture of me at the premiere of the Love Live movie. Bruh. Yeah, I've had a bit of a glow up since then. Idols have been around since as long as the late 1970s, starting out simply as a group of girls performing. Fast forward to now when there's big ass idol groups such as AKB48, anime series, Vocaloids, and even VTubers who have recently taken the world by storm.
I'm hungry.
Excuse me, what? Let's say you think, okay, I'm gonna watch an idol anime. Let's see what people recommend. I can guarantee you that most people would direct you to something like Love Live. While it's a pretty good way to get into the genre, I'ma come out and say it, bro. Love Live is mid. And before you Love Live stans kill me, hear me out. Well, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with Love Live. To me, it's one of the most formulaic and safest idol shows to watch. And I feel like this is becoming an issue with most idol shows that air these days. They always fall under the same common tropes. Perfect cutesy girls who seem to have no flaws, artificial drama, and stakes that either don't exist or just don't feel high enough. And after Love Live Sunshine Season 2 stopped airing in 2017, I slowly dwindled from the genre and lost all interest. Until now. Kings and queens, let me introduce you to the best idol anime ever. Now, at first glance, this may look like your typical idol show. The cutesy art style's there, the waifus are there, and the banging songs are there too. So what makes this one so much more distinct from the rest? Well, let me show you. Hold on, just let me rub this. Ta-da! They're zombies! Still not enough? Alright then, how about this? Interested now? Good. You should be. Let's break down the plot. We follow Sakura Minamoto, a high school student who's about to start her second year. She adores idols and is hoping to become one herself. After hyping herself up, she runs out of the front door to see the sun shining down on her, giving her the rays of hope as she starts her new high school life. I know what you're thinking, guys. Jook, I thought you said this wasn't a generic idol show. Well, watch this, as this harmless generic intro turns into the biggest 180 in anime history. I like the character design, it looks really nice. What the fuck? Following getting vape checked by Truck-kun, Sakura gets amnesia and wakes up in what looks to be a mansion straight out of Resident Evil. Confused on where she is, she begins to explore the mansion when suddenly... Oh, Jesus Christ. Jump scares. She's attacked by zombies. Sakura runs out in a panic and runs into this policeman. The policeman freaks out when he gets a look at Sakura, who finds out that she herself has become a zombie too. After getting shot, she wakes up in a room full of the zombies from before and a strange looking man with the sickest shades. Kotaro Tatsumi. Kotaro tells Sakura that her and the zombie girls around her are going to form an idol group and save the Saga Prefecture from depopulation. And the girl's journey begins from there. There's a lot I want to talk about in this video. So without jumping between topics constantly, I'll be splitting the video into two parts, the events and the characters. And with all that out of the way, let's dive into one of the greatest strengths the show has, the variety of events the girls do and why it keeps the show fresh and exciting. In your typical idol show, you're pretty much just following the girls practice all the time and going to concerts. Pretty standard stuff that after watching a few of them, you're kinda like, yeah, seen this, done that. Oh man, they're gonna practice on the roof this time? Man, that's so much more different. However, in Zombieland Saga, what makes the show so freaking fun to watch is that pretty much every episode has the girls doing different events in order to promote their group. One episode, the girls are going absolutely ham at a death metal concert, screaming and headbanging. Then the next episode hits and they're at a yakitori restaurant doing a commercial in cute as heck chicken onesies with this creepy ass chicken. What the fuck? He's such a shit. Then for the next episode, they're at an event called the Gat Olympics, which is just playing a bunch of extreme sports in the mud and honestly feels like anime Wipeout. Jesus, that's grim. Jesus Christ, is this bad? Even though everything that happens in this anime is totally absurd and so off the wall with what's going on, the great thing is that these events not only put the girls' names out there, but you slowly see as the events go on, more and more people show up to support Franchouchou. It's a genuine feeling and progression of development for the group that feels so satisfying to watch grow. The main thing I absolutely adored about Zombieland, however, is that it's not afraid to break away from the typical route that most most idol shows go through. Like seriously guys, show me another anime that has cute anime girls headbanging to death metal that immediately followed up by a sick as hell rap battle. Exactly. No other anime. I've never gone through so many emotions while watching an anime before. From laughing hysterically as the girls fail miserably at the GAT Olympics. Her whole body's gonna come off. To getting super hyped as Sakura and Saki juke it out in a sick rap battle. Go, queen! Go off! Oh my god! To feeling extremely satisfied and proud when the girls destroy a performance. They did it perfect, that's awesome! With any other idol show, I don't care much for the songs as most of them usually follow the same sort of style. However, in Zombieland, this was not an issue at all. Not only were all the songs I heard absolute bangers, every single performance had something a little different that would make it stand out. Whether it would come down to the style of song and costumes the girls would wear like in Saki's song, or when in one concert the girls literally get struck by lightning and instead of getting fried they get a blue aura and sing their iconic song auto-tuned. This all once again falls back on my point that the best part about Zombieland is that you can tell the creators had an absolute blast making this as absurd as it could be, and it's something that'll keep you hooked throughout the entire series. Before we move on to the characters, I'd be doing this show a disservice by not mentioning the excellent use of slapstick comedy. After the girls have become zombies, you'd think the logic would be that they'd need to find human meat so they don't go hungry, or that they can't go out during the daytime. Nah man, the only thing that comes into play is that their body parts can come apart at any moment. By the sounds of it, it sounds like a joke that would get stale quickly, but when it comes into play, it's always in the weirdest ways that just come straight out of left field. Oh my god, Jesus Christ. As the series goes on, the girls become so used to their body parts coming off that there's even scenes where the girls just plonk their parts back together, no biggie. Well, you see the humans look at them like, none of the So, you guys feeling convinced to go watch the show yet? No? You guys want even more reasons? Well, there's plenty more to come. Let's dive straight into the amazing characters of this show. First up, let's talk about Sakura and why I think she's one of the best idol protagonists in recent years. Now, when you look at her, she does scream typical idol protagonist, with her being quite ditzy, hardworking, her kindness towards others, and of course the fact that she just looks like a little cinnamon roll. And oh boy do I simp for that cinnamon roll. However, she's shown to be a very sharp girl who's able to adapt to changes and think of solutions to issues in a calm manner. When the other girls awaken in episode 2, most of them are drowned in confusion, fear, and anxiety from what's going on, while Sakura accepts the situation, knowing that in order to get her memories back, she's gonna have to go through with all this wacky stuff going on. While she's extremely caring when hearing about the other girls' past and dealing with their issues, she's not afraid to be the straight woman and say what needs to be said. The biggest example being that rather than trying to save face with Saki during the performance at the castle, she confronts her problems that she has with Saki through a way that Saki considers gutsy and cool, which is the rap battle. Rather than being the common ditzy, happy-go-lucky girl that we're so used to in idol shows, she's a genuine down-to-earth girl that wants to see Franchouchou succeed. And if that means having to get all up in their faces with straight facts, she'll do it. When Tai is getting too crazy, she's super patient with her, but still knows how to keep her in line, when the other girls just kind of leave her to her own devices. However, the biggest reason for her being a great protagonist is that she feels like a real person by the end of the show. Without going too deep into spoiler territory, as each girl goes through their own conflicts, hers are some of the most common real-life issues that impact a lot of people nowadays. This makes it very easy to relate to her and connect with her character more. And on a less serious note, she's also cute as heck. Oh my god, guys, look at her in the chicken outfit. Ah! KFC? Hell nah, fellas, this is KFW. Karatsu fucking waifu, baby. Next up, let's talk about Saki. Saki was my second favorite character, and that was because she was such a breath of fresh air coming from other idol shows. She's the most badass idol girl I've ever seen, with having a very right-in-your-face attitude and a super passionate personality. When we first meet her, she comes off as extremely arrogant and cocky to the other girls, as she used to be the leader of a biker gang when she was human. Starting out, she immediately shuts down the idea of being an idol because it's not her style, and Sakura is the main person who's trying to convince her otherwise. Saki just sees everything everything that's going on as a joke, which leads to the big rap battle between her and Sakura. After Sakura completely obliterates her viewpoint with so much energy and passion, she gives mad respect to Sakura and finally opens her eyes to the idea of being an idol. Rather than following most anime tropes and keeping her character super one note, as the show goes on, Saki's personality really evolves and gets a soft spot for all of the girls in her group. She goes from someone being extremely arrogant and close-minded to someone who genuinely cares for the people around her, who's willing to try new things without a care in the world. And of course, my boys who are into tomboys, she is the ultimate waifu. Look at how she goes from a badass baker chick to the cutest chick in a chicken costume. It's so good! Next up, let's talk about Ai. Ai in her previous life was one of the lead idols in the popular group Iron Frill, so she already has more experience being an idol than the other girls. At the start, she's extremely confused and anxious at the idea of being a zombie idol, so much so that she tries to run away along with Junko, the second character who used to be an idol. However, after Sakura is able to convince them both to stay and give it a shot, Ai builds her confidence once again, and we see that she has the strongest will out of all the girls. With being determined to take the spotlight once again with Shushu, she helps the other girls with their dances and getting them into the mindset of being an idol, a complete opposite to how Junko operates, which gives an interesting dynamic between the two. The thing that makes Ai an extremely great character to see grow is that we see some of her lowest points during the series and how much anxiety actually eats her up. Ai is the type of idol who wants to let her fans know that they're appreciated. While it might not sound impressive, I always love seeing these traits in characters as they're a really good source of inspiration to watch.
I don't think of mistakes or failures as bad things. That's not how it works. If I want to be the best version of me, then I'll have to find a way over the hurdles.
Next up, let's talk about Ai's opposite, Junko. So, when Ai was alive, she was an idol in the early 2000s, while Junko was an idol back in the Showa period of the 1980s. Junko starts off very shy and closed off to the other girls, but as the show progresses and she's able to find her place in the group of Shushu, she becomes more confident in herself while also finding trust in the other girls. However, the biggest difference with Junko is that not only was she an idol in a completely different era, but she was also a solo idol, so Shushu is going to be her first time performing in a group. This makes for an interesting character arc and a clash of ideals between her and Ai that really give the two of them growth. Next up, let's talk about Lily. Once again, at the start of the show, she immediately comes off as the typical lolly character, and honestly, she does stick in that limbo for a few episodes. What surprised me, however, is that as the show progresses, she actually started to break the common lolly character tropes and ends up having one of the most heartbreaking backstories. Two of the characters that bring out a fresh side to Lily are both Saki and Yugiri, where Saki loves to bully Lily for being so short and calling her shrimpy. Instead of just taking it, Lily turns around and starts becoming pretty damn sassy the more this goes on.
Even if we were alive at the same time, I wouldn't have hung out with Saki. Shut your mouth!
However, I absolutely adored Lily and Yugiri's relationship, because it kind of felt like they were mother and daughter. As Yugiri is always the one looking out for her and making sure that she's okay, it's super sweet to watch and is something that's shown pretty subtly throughout the show. However, the thing that makes Lily so interesting to me is her backstory. The most surprising thing being that it actually dives into why she became the over-the-top lolly character that she is today. Rather than being a simple trope, it's a development that she slowly grew into that dives pretty deep as to how it affected her life. This was not only an extremely touching story, but a complete breath of fresh air for this type of character. Next up, let's talk about Yugiri. Now, I've been going pretty deep into what I think made all the girls extremely great, however, it's pretty different when it comes to Yugiri. Sadly, she along with Tyre, the two girls who don't get much, if not any development throughout the show. This is a real shame when it comes to Yugiri, as what we hear of her past sounds extremely interesting. Unlike the other girls who were all born during the 20th and 21st century, Yugiri was alive during the 19th century and was actually a high-ranking courtesan. Seriously, how cool is that? Mappa, you're telling me you have a character here from the Meiji era and you didn't expand on her background? Man, you guys are on some bullshit. While she isn't explored much in terms of her backstory, she stays very consistent throughout the show. One thing I really liked about Yugiri's character is that she has a very specific way in dealing with people who have lost their will. She's very polite and that she hears the person out and then she pimp slaps the ever-loving shit out of them. Yugiri with the pimp slap! It's a pretty brutal and old-fashioned way to get someone out of a state, but it reinforces the fact that she's from a completely different time period, while also giving her character just a hint of space. If it's one thing I'm hoping for in the second season, it's that we finally get to have a look into her past. Wrapping up the girls in France Chouchou, and we have the legendary Tyometer! Where the hell do I even begin with this dumbass cinnamon roll? Well, all the other girls awaken from the zombified states early in the series. Ty is the only one who doesn't awaken at all, and throughout the entire show is pretty much just a mindless zombie. On paper, she's pretty much just used for comedy relief most of the time, which is fine. For me, she was lovable and cute enough to make all the moments with her great. However, what's great about Ty is that there's actually a bit of mystery towards her. Watching how she acts towards the girls, how she learns to adapt to her surroundings, and how she learns all the moves for performances, you really start to wonder, has she really not awakened in some regard? It's one of the biggest questions I have going into season 2, and I really hope we get to learn more about her. And last, but absolutely not least, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Kotaro Tatsumi. I'm gonna be straight up, this dude is the funniest character I've had the pleasure of watching in a long time. Being so good that I'd put him up there with the likes of Kazuma from Konosuba. Being the director of France Chouchou, it's his job to make sure that their names are getting put out there and making sure that the girls are pumped and ready to roll. Each episode usually starts off with a morning meeting with Kotaro and the girls. Every time he'll start it off differently. One episode he'll start it off by doing some yodeling, and then the next episode by putting on a French accent and straight up vibe checking I with a fucking baguette. This man is a straight up menace to society. Not only is he criminally hilarious, he actually has a lot of depth to him too. When it comes down to it, he's able to sit one-on-one with the girls and speak from the heart and what he thinks is the best for them. Well, sometimes it seems like he doesn't care. The number one thing he wants for the girls is to be happy and succeed with France Chouchou. And it's so heartwarming to watch, making him one of the best characters in the entire show. Hold up, you thought we were finished? Hell no, man. Lastly, I want to talk about the side characters of this show. All of the side characters were an absolute treat to watch, and I ended up loving them to the point where I actually began to gain a connection with them. Like these two punk rockers who roll with France Chouchou from the beginning. I like it! Show us what you got, girlie! Yeah! Or this hilarious police officer who's obsessed with arresting people.
Harassing girls is an epic fail. Leave him alone or it's straight to jail.
To these random rapper dudes who try to hit on the girls.
Oh my god. I'm embarrassed. They stand a man who could rap like the rap.
This show is so good, dude. Every side character has a distinct personality and design that'll stick with you till the end. Put all of this together and it culminates into a brilliant package of steady yet substantial growth for each and every character that feels so satisfying to watch. Finally, I'd like to go over the themes that Zombieland Saga touches on throughout its run. However, going too deep into them will end up in spoiler territory, so I'll keep it brief. For an anime about zombie idols, the show goes shockingly deep into some pretty dark themes. Your typical stuff is there, the value of friendship, being motivated and determined, conquering your fears. However, where the show blew me out of the water was when it started diving into the themes of depression, death, and grief. It shows how real and scary these types of things can be, and how hard it is for people to move forward from them. This is stuff that will hit hard for a lot of people watching, and as I said before, will get you emotionally connected to the characters even more than you already are. I'm really glad the creators weren't scared to dive into themes as dark as these ones, and the stories will be ones that stick with me for a long time. So, are you guys convinced yet? An absolutely incredible cast, chock full of lovable personalities, gripping backstories, and genuine development that leaves you super satisfied. Over-the-top events and creative scenarios that makes every episode and performance that much more exciting. The breaking of generic idol tropes and either driving them up the wall or breaking them entirely. And finally, the amount of themes, both light and dark, that are touched upon that are similar to real-life issues that you're able to connect with. This show is like a damn full course meal, and I'm so freaking happy I decided to give it a watch. I stand by my statement. Zombieland Saga is the best idol show, period. You can find them both on Funimation and Crunchyroll, or if you're in Aussie land like me, you can also catch it on Anime Lab, with there being both a sub and a dub. I watched the first 6 episodes in dub and the last 6 episodes in sub, and in my opinion, the dub is on par with the sub. And to top it all off, the voice actors went above and beyond and actually sang all the songs in English. So definitely definitely give the dub a bash. If you've made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I was able to spark some interest into this amazing show for you, and I hope you all love it as much as I did. And with that, kings and queens, I'll catch you later.
Jook walk, hit them with the juke walk. Jook walk, fuck it up with juke walk. When you feeling a little tipsy, hit the juke walk. Chillin' low, crossing hands through the juke walk.